ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and I'm going to review Cobra Kai Season 1, Episode 6. And there's really three main storylines that are going on in this episode in particular. One is now Samantha LaRusso is kind of the outcast in school. She's having a problem with, being accepted after the rumors and kids teasing her and whatever. But there seems to be a blossoming relationship with Samantha and Miguel, who is, of course, Johnny's first student. And this happened, of course, after Miguel had stood up for Samantha when Kyler was really being just a complete douche to her. And he's had his own problems with Kyler in the past, so Miguel finally beats up Kyler and his friends, gets some notoriety in school, and now these two have a blossoming relationship. There was a part where they were in a science class, and Samantha's partner didn't show up for school, and so no one else wanted to take her in on their team, and so Miguel invited her to be a part of his team, and then they start talking to each other over the internet. So that was cool. A little, cute little side plot there. One of the big things that this show had, though, was the story about Johnny and his students. He had a flock of students come in at the end of the last episode, and this time it shows him, he's in there, and he's being really hard on these kids, and he's, honestly saying some things that just aren't really cool. I mean, for a teacher to be telling students, and, it's this kind of old school mentality, where you can be as brutal and say whatever you want. And it doesn't really work nowadays, especially when everybody's so damn sensitive about words. And they did play on that in this episode. But one thing that I thought was really cool is they kind of did like a flashback at the beginning of the episode where you saw Johnny as a little kid and he saw the Cobra Kai school for the first time, and he seemed to be like so transfixed by it and so like ready to start his martial arts training. And then you see that his dad was a real douchebag and really talked down to Johnny. And Johnny didn't have any friends when he was growing up. He was a little loner as a kid too. And so Miguel goes in and he talks to Johnny about being so hard on these kids. And Miguel says, "You just don't understand what it's like to be us." And then you kind of find out that Johnny actually does find out. He's trying to do the right things the wrong ways. And in ways, like he's going back into the villain Johnny mode, where he's just an absolute jerk to everybody. But you still have kind of a sympathy for him because you're starting to understand why, and you're really hoping that Johnny can get a turnaround. And so after the conversation with Johnny and Miguel, Johnny goes back to the class and he says, "You know what? I do understand what it was like to be you guys. I've been there. I've been a loner and it sucked. I hated being a loser. And so you guys right now are weak-minded and I'm trying to strengthen you up mentally and physically." And so he kind of saved himself in some ways with that speech. Not entirely, because he's still a pompous prick at times, but there was something redeeming about that. The other thing that's going on is we found out at the end of the last episode also that Johnny Lawrence's son is now taking a job at LaRusso Auto. And we found out this time in this episode that it was literally for no other reason than he just wanted to piss his dad off. But one of the cool things that might be a turnaround for this is Daniel LaRusso has noticed this kid, noticed he's working his ass off. He had a couple of other employees ribbing him, and he was about to walk out, and LaRusso, tries to befriend this kid and tries to help him understand that, he's not the only one that has anger issues. And it was a kind of a cool moment. And then later on, you see Johnny's son take some kind of paperwork to Daniel's house, and Daniel's like, do you want to stick around and learn some karate? Because he was in his gi, he was practicing. And the kid's like, yeah, sure, it sounds good. And so it almost seems like there may be some kind of bond building between Daniel and Johnny's son, which is interesting. We'll see how that plays out. But the show ends with two of, I don't know his name yet in the series. I just call him Johnny's son. But Johnny's son has two friends that are trying to get him to help rob Daniel LaRusso's auto company. And that's where it ends. They have this plan that they're bringing up to him where they're going to steal from LaRusso Auto. And so there's a conflict in this kid already about it. And we'll see how that plays out. Compared to the other episodes, a little bit slower. Still cool. I mean, it was entertaining. And it definitely keeps the storyline going. And I would think overall I would give it a 6 out of 10. Because I don't know that there was anything that really had any really dramatic acting. I mean, the deepest part you got in here was Johnny Lawrence and his flashbacks with, being a kid and being a loser. And then talking to the kids about that at the end of the show. That was probably the deepest moment in that episode in particular. So it was cool, but certainly not overselling anything for sure. So I think 6 out of 10 is fair. It was good, not necessarily great, but so far, like I said, I've been very entertained with the series. I think everybody's doing an amazing job, and I think my biggest surprise as far as like acting ability is actually William Zabka. I just think he's really, really damn good. I honestly do. I think without him, this show would not be working right now. So my hat off to William Zabka. I think he's doing an amazing job. Now, so that's where I'm at with it. I think that, honestly, William Zabka has just been the saving grace for this series so far. I like Macchio, but I think Zabka brings something to the table that he does not. And absolutely amazing. So, big fan of it so far. Obviously, I'm going to keep going with it. I'll check out another episode or two today, do those reviews. And I've got a whole bunch of videos coming for you. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz, Kaged Nation, out.